start my new pattern today, and I have two dresses that I really like and that I want to make into digital patterns and make available for you guys. So these are patterns or dresses that I made last year or earlier than that. I think the first one I did like 3 years ago maybe, and they're based on my body, like my measurements. I don't have them digital, and the first one I have multiple versions of it. I just don't have like final pattern, because every time I do it I make small modifications. So I want to make these two dresses into digital patterns, like final pattern files. I posted both of them on my Instagram and had my followers vote which one they preferred. And this one, so this is the dress that I made last year, won by quite a lot. So I am going to be making this one. It has a smock in the back, and I thought that a lot of people who buy patterns would be like, no, I don't want to do smock, that's not for me. But it was the opposite. A lot of people would buy a pattern with smock. So I'm gonna keep the smock, and I'm gonna make this into, so I'm gonna make this pattern for my mannequin, which is based on like the European size S. And the reason I want to remake it is because I want all of my patterns that I make and sell, but also just it's good for me to have them all kind of based on the same measurements, so that if you buy a pattern from me, then you know that, okay, these are the measurements that work for me. Like, this is my size from Carolina's Patterns. So that's what's happening today. And I have my old pattern. So this is my pattern for this dress, my original pattern. And I named it, I don't know if you can see that, No Bra Dress Final Pattern is what this is called. Because I made this dress specifically to be able to wear it without a bra, or to be able to wear it without a bra. So I'm gonna take out my original pattern file and then kind of look at that to see the construction, and then I'm going to drape it on my mannequin. I'm gonna try to drape this pattern because I think that would be easier. So these are my bodice patterns. And then originally I made it with a sleeve, but I decided to not keep the sleeve. But potentially I will make a sleeve now, we'll see. So I could make one version with only the ties on the shoulder, and then one version with a sleeve. And then for the skirt, these are my skirt panels. So I have 4 panels because the skirt is too wide to get it on a 140 centimeter width piece of fabric, which is usually what fabrics come in the width. My original dress did not have a center front seam, but I think I will add one because I think that's gonna be better. You can see that there is no seam going down here on the center front, but this connection is difficult to make. It's a little bulky here because there is just a lot of fabric there. So if I put in a seam here, then each half could be made separately, and then they could be attached by this center seam, and that would make aligning these 2 corners easier. So I have my pieces laid out here on the floor, and I'm going to have them as reference when I drape. And then I will cut like some pieces kind of larger than these pieces and drape with this, just a light cotton fabric on the mannequin. And I will sketch out with some ribbon or tape, I haven't decided yet, the shapes that I want before I drape it. I've now like mapped out where I want my pieces to be, or where I want all the cuts. And so I think I'm gonna do like lower in the front. I'm gonna try this. We'll see if I keep it, if it works. But I wanna do lower in the front and then kind of higher here to really accentuate the like the hips and the waist volume difference, like play around a little bit with the volumes, like an optical illusion. And then in the back, I go quite low to, yeah, give the upper back some time to shine. I don't know. I just think that's gonna be nice. And then also going lower in the back and then meeting up with that like side seam here. That's my base, and now I will put my fabric on top and kind of mark out on my fabric all of these lines. So all of my top pattern pieces are draped. I'm not gonna do my skirt because I feel like I can just add my skirt later. Like if I can get this correct, then I can just add a skirt. So I'm gonna just focus on the top now, like make the top, mock the top up, and then I will start on the skirt. You can see here that this is like my bust part, which is huge compared to like my front and my side front here. And that is obviously because there are a bunch of gathers here and on the shoulder, because this is the back shoulder. There's no gathers here. So that's quite small compared to like this span here. So this one I will have to play around with a bit. I'm gonna start with this volume and make a mock-up, and then we'll see. Maybe I'll take this in and take this in. This is gonna take some prototyping to get that right and to get the fall right. And then obviously the back, which is gonna be smocking, I will have to extend, like calculate the smocking separately. So now I'll just clean these lines up a bit and cut it out and all, and then I will start prototyping. It's a new day and this is where I'm at. I've done my draping and my half pinning and it's looking pretty good, I think. I'm happy with this overall. There are a couple of issues. So here, for example, it's a bit too pointy, like there's a peak here or an angle. So I need to round this out a bit at the bottom. And then here I have some excess. So maybe like 1 centimeter, 7 millimeters excess here, which I think can potentially make the shoulder fall off. So I need to fix that. And there's also an angle here, like somewhere here. Hang on, where is it? Anyway, you'll see the angle. So I need to curve this off a bit, just make it a bit nicer, like a more of a nice curve. And for the front, I like this shape here, but I think that it's potentially too low. So I will raise it up a bit and lower it a bit here. So I'm just gonna even it out a bit, not make it so exaggerated. But the reason I've chosen to do this is because making it lower in the front like this is gonna elongate the torso, and then bringing it up at the waist, kinda stopping it where the waist is the most narrow, is gonna snatch the waist. And then bringing up the gathered skirt to this point is gonna accentuate the hips. We'll see how it looks. We'll see if I'm happy with it. If I'm not, I'm just gonna straighten it out, but we'll see. Then for the bust part here, I really like how this looks. I think that there's a nice gathered volume on the bottom here. Up on the shoulder, I think it's too much. It's bulky here. It looks a bit weird with the armhole. So I need to reduce this volume up here, but keep this. And then I think the cleavage is nice. It's looking good. I think this line here is nice. It's a little bit curved right here, and then it kind of straightens out, which I like. I think that's really nice. So that is where I'm at this morning. And I'll make all of these changes. Most of the changes I'll make straight on the dummy, I think. And then this one I will have to do flat because I need to see what's going on here. My pieces are cut and I've marked all my lines on them. So I have my straight grain, my chest, my cross back or front, and this is just a joining notch with the back. So I don't know why I drew that in, but I did. For the boobage part, I will make with a lining because I think that it's going to be sewn with a lining later, and to really see the fall of the cleavage, I need to make the first mock-up with a lining. Whereas the other pieces, I'm not gonna make with a lining because I just want to see like the overall shape before I make the actual prototype. So the boobage part I'm doing with a lining, and also the side back that I just showed you, I'm gonna do that one with a lining as well because again here, this is the back neckline. It needs to be sewn with a lining to see how it falls. And for the back, I'm not gonna do the smocking yet. I will get all of my other pieces, the shape and fit that I want, and then I'll add the smock, literally the last thing I do. So I'm just gonna sew this together now and then put it up on the mannequin, correct anything that's wrong, and then we get going with the prototype. So this is the final shape. The back I'm really happy with. I think this looks nice. The excess is gone here, so that's good. Like this is nice and tight. I don't think there's an issue there. Here I'll take it in a little bit because there's some space here. And then the shape, the curve on the back I'm happy with now. I think that looks nice. It's flattering. The side curve I'm also really happy with. I think that looks super nice. The front has some issues. So here I have quite a lot of excess. So I'll have to take away a lot there. Well, not a lot, but yeah, I have to take away some. And then the armhole needs to be curved more because this is not flattering. This whole piece is just too wide. So I'll have to curve the armhole more here. And then I might also take it in here a bit. And here, there's too much. Or it's not too much, it's just like the angling is a bit off, which I remember I had the same issue when I made this one. So I'll just have to correct this a little bit. And I'll just bring it up like this. Like I'll take away from here, and then this whole piece is just gonna be brought up, and that's gonna straighten out the creasing here and also the excess here. Because here, I do not want excess here. If I have excess here, the boob is just gonna fall out. So this needs to lie flat. Otherwise, I'm quite happy with the gathering. I'm glad I don't have less. I'm almost considering adding more. The curve I'm happy with, I think that's good. There's some excess here though, so I think I will bring it in a bit more here on these lines to just make it a bit more fitted. And then this is kind of going up a bit, but I think that's because of this. So I'll fix this and then we'll see. So update. Oh, I'm sorry. That's so unprofessional of me. This is the second mock-up of the bodice. This is with lining. The first one was without lining. And it's just to kind of see how everything falls and all the seams are supposed to be closed. This is a lot better. This is a huge improvement. The back is looking good. There's some pulling here, but there's no zipper yet, so that's not an issue. Also, I'm gonna add smocking here now that I have the overall shape. And on the front, the gathering is looking mighty nice, I think. The cleavage is really nice. There's no excess here. Like there's a bit of breathing room, of course, but there's no like fabric hanging. Also, I added this little curve here, which I think is really flattering. And here on the side, there's also no excess. This is looking nice. My only issue with this is the center front seam. So I added the seam because I figured that it would be easier to get this cleavage point nice and even, which I think it does, but there's a lot of bulkiness here because you have the seam allowance from this, and then you have the seam allowance from this center seam as well. So it's just a lot going on there, and I don't think that that's flattering. So I'm thinking that I will remove the center. I'll try and make another one, removing the center seam and doing it the same way as I did this one, but just kind of doing it a little bit better, figuring out a way, an easy way to sew this. And then this one has the tie on the shoulder, which I'll add as well, but that's not difficult. I'll just add like the tie in here. I feel like it's better to make it work without the tie because that means that you have a good functioning bodice, because the tie allows you to tighten it. And if the bodice is not good, you can kind of pull it up with a tie. And I don't want that because I want the bodice to be good without the tie as well, so that I can add sleeves. So I've calculated the smocking on this compared to the pattern piece and made a formula based on how wide this is compared to what the width is when it's done or when it's smocked. And I'm now gonna see if that works on this piece as well. And if my formula for smocking works, then I will share it. If it doesn't work, then I will not share it. So I have my two backs and I'll do the smocking now, but I have done them in 2 layers because the entire bodice is lined, it has a lining, so I need to put a lining on the smocking pieces as well, so it's just all the same thickness. And on my first dress, hang on, I'll show you, I have made the smock with a lining as well, and I've sandwiched the zipper in between, so there's no visible seam allowance, or the edge of the zipper is not visible. And I mean, ideally I do the same on this one, but I also think that a lot of people will kind of, like, smocking takes a long time. And I think that, I don't know, there should be an option to not need to smock 4 pieces of the back. And I'll try to see if I can get a good finish with only like sandwiching the lining and the main fabric together, smocking it, and then inserting the zipper. Of course, there's going to be a visible zipper edge there, but maybe I can add some binding or something on that to hide it. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, I am going to make my first smock attempt now, and hopefully the width is good, but I don't know if I am that lucky. So this is my original piece, like my width, and this is my smocked piece. So there's quite a big difference there, but this is my pattern piece, and when I put that on top here, my smock is too large, like it's just too wide, and it's gonna be loose, and I need it to be tight. So I will take away 2 centimeters from my smocked pattern. So 1 centimeter on each of these, and then I'll try again. Well, my formula didn't work for the smock, clearly. Am I surprised? No. Am I disappointed? Yes. There's so many different formulas for how to calculate smock, and I have yet to find one that works. But it's okay because we got to the correct width at the end. I mean, I hope it is. I need to put it on my prototype to really verify that it's correct. So I need to take away like 2 more centimeters. Okay, so this is my new piece of Smock, and I've abandoned the attempt to make a formula for this, and I have now just increased each of these lines with 1 centimeter because I think that's all that I need. So I have managed to get the right width of my smock finally. So now I will make this prototype for me, for my torso length. So I'll just lengthen it at my adjustment lines. Like I'll keep all the measurements, literally just lengthening it to see how this curve looks on a soft body, because this is obviously firm. Just see how this looks, how everything kind of fits and moves with a real body. Overall, I think the prototype is looking pretty good. There's a few issues, like here, there's some excess. So this needs to go away just a little bit, like not too much. You can kind of, yeah, it's just a bit too much there. And then this whole thing, like this, is too low. Because now it's kind of like, it's dragging the chest down rather than like lifting it up, which is obviously the opposite effect that I am wanting to achieve. So this needs to go up like here, maybe. And just pull it up a bit like this. And then it should be fine. But yeah, and I also think that this, I managed to get the peak point kind of nice as well. So I'm happy about that. And I'm not gonna have the center front seam because this is better. It's cleaner, I feel. Obviously, I'm gonna not put in this zipper. I'm gonna have an invisible zipper because this is just so I can open it here in the bottom and take it off since there's no skirt. Looking cute. My prototype is done. I will now go try it on. It's absolute carnage here. Like, it's just, I don't know. How do people have clean sewing rooms? Like, I just don't know. All right, so this is what the final version of the top looks like. I'm really happy with this. I think this looks good now. I think that the opening, the neckline is nice. This here under the bust is looking good. And the back, I didn't change at all. But I think it looks, yeah, I like this now. And like, it just feels more secure. I might still take away like 5 millimeters here, just so there's no like gaping or opening. I'm gonna have this sleeveless with the ties as the original design. And then I'm also gonna make some short sleeves with it. I did a vote on my Instagram. Some flared sleeves was like the overall favorite. I'll put a image here somewhere of the idea of the design. So that's what's happening next. I'm adding the sleeves and then I'll go on to the skirt. So here is my sleeve construction and pattern, and I didn't film when I made this yesterday because I forgot and I'm still getting used to this, but this is my construction. And then all of these lines is where I flared it. So I flared it to look like this, and then I redrew it to this pattern. This is what the first version of the sleeve looks like. I think it's kind of okay. It's a bit too not flared enough, I feel. And it needs to be a little bit more gathered here, up here as well, to be really special. I feel like this just feels boring, you know? It needs to be more pizzazz. So I'm gonna open it here more and like flare it. So if it's like this right now, I'm gonna do this with it basically. And the same thing down here. So I've just added 1 centimeter down here because on further inspection, I think that it's actually wide enough at the bottom. If it's wider, it's gonna look weird, I think. So I've just added 3 centimeters here, and then here I've added 2 centimeters on each, so 6 centimeters in total. Obviously, I should have just retraced the sleeve and flared it and not like cut and scotch it together like this, but I was a bit lazy, so you know, this is what we're doing. All right, this is looking a lot better, I think. This is the new sleeve, so it has a much nicer fall. I think the length is nice too. Yeah, love it. I think I'm ready to finally cut my pieces in fancy fabric and stop using my curtain lining that I've been using this entire time. And I am going to use this 100% silk, lightweight. It's a dead stock fabric and I got it for €6 a meter like 2 years ago. So I'm pretty chuffed to finally have a reason to use it. So I'm gonna cut my pieces, sew it together of the bodice, and then I'll figure out the skirt. I think I'm gonna just do like a simple circle skirt for this one, and then I'll do another one in cotton with a gathered skirt. I think. I haven't figured it out yet, but okay, change of plans actually. So I just realized that this has a really narrow width. It's like just above a meter. So I don't know if I can get a circle skirt in. Well, it's for sure I can't get it in like along the straight grain, but I could potentially cut it along the or perpendicular to the straight grain or on the bias and do bias is gonna be tricky too. Yeah, so perpendicular to the straight grain and do like a shorter skirt for this version of the dress, which I think is fine, but I need to just figure out the skirt so that I can get it, so that I can make sure that I can get it on this fabric before actually cutting out my bodice pieces. So yeah, I'm gonna do that first, but it's gonna be quick. I'm not gonna sew anything. I'm literally just gonna cut out the front, hold it up against the prototype, and take it from there. So to calculate my circle skirt, I will take 10.4, which is my side front measurement here, plus 8.3, which is my front. So that gives me 18.7. I will times that by 2 because this is only half the front, 37.4. And then I will divide that by pi. So 11.9, so let's just say 12. And that's the distance I have to take from my square point here down. So I'll cut my my curtain lining, my muslin or whatever, my toile out for after this. Actually, I could have just done that straight on my fabric. I don't know why I did it on the paper, but whatever. I'll cut it out on the fabric now. So I'll do this exact same thing, but on fabric. And then I will cut it to whatever length and just see the difference in like, cause this is 3 centimeters lower than this. So I just need to, I think I'll just add 3 centimeters more here and 3 centimeters less here on the bottom of the hem. And I will calculate the same thing. So this front is 12 centimeters, because I'm gonna just draw this straight on the skirt, or the fabric actually. And then the back, great. I'll just do 12. So if my calculations are correct now, then I should be fine adding 3 centimeters on the side here, more than I do on the length on the front. So I'm just gonna try that and see if that works. Okay, I'll cut this out. I am not even in frame. I'll cut this out and just kind of hold it up against my prototype and see how that looks. Because if this works, then it's gonna work on the back as well, and then I'm good to go to just cut my silk. Okay, so this is what it looks like. That looks pretty good to me. It's maybe a bit lower in the front than on the sides. Yeah, I should take away like 2 more. But either way, like at least I know that this works to do the skirt like this. Am I in frame? No. Now I know that this works. I can cut my fabric, my silk. So my pieces are cut and I'll tell you what's going down. My main fabric is this silk and it's super see-through. Like this is, you can just see everything, you know? So that's not gonna work on the bust. So what I've done is I've taken this white cotton lining and I have put 2 layers of it between my lining of my bust and my main fabric bust. And I'm doing the lining and the main fabric in the same, and then just adding this white cotton in between them to cover up the areolas. And then for my lining of my front, so this is my front, like I've already pinned it. This is my lining, it's gonna be in the white cotton as well. For my back pieces, I'm doing them in main fabric, both of them. And then I'm just gonna do the smocking there. So yeah, and the sleeve is obviously main fabric with no lining. So yeah, let's get going. This is where I'm at. The entire bodice is done. I have my smock here and this bust is looking super nice. I don't have a zipper yet, so I can't actually try it on. Like I held it up to my body and this is not see-through, so that's great. And the overall fit seems fine. So I'm gonna attach the sleeves, do the skirt, and then do the zipper now. And the inside looks like this. So we have silk on the 2 back pieces, and then silk here, and obviously I have cotton in between. And then I have my cotton panel here. I could have done this in the silk as well, but I don't know. I feel like it would be more comfortable to have it in cotton against the body. This is the shoulder. And then we have a beautiful understitch here. Yeah, just love it when you don't see the seams. Like that is just so satisfying. I'm going to attach my zipper now to the center back, and I haven't attached my lining skirt yet, so this is super see-through, but it's looking good otherwise. And since I have my main fabric and my lining sewn together, I can't sandwich my zipper in between those 2 fabrics. So what I'll do is I'm going to sew my zipper on like normal, my invisible zipper, and then I will add a bias binding covering the seam allowance of the zipper. So I have done French seams on all seams, like here French seams on the sideline of the skirt and on the sleeves, and then obviously the bodice seams are all hidden, but I haven't done French seams here because I think it's gonna get bulky, and this is the waist seam. And also the center back seam is just overlocked because I wanted to iron it flat so it's not bulky here. This is the final result. I've named this dress the Adore dress, and I'm now going to make the sewing pattern digital, and it will be available for download on my website studiocarolinashear.com in the near future. I am also going to be doing a giveaway for this pattern on my Instagram before releasing it, so make sure you go follow me over there for news and all the other fun stuff. Thank you for watching. Bye!